Today's question is, can you talk about compassion fatigue and how it relates to healthcare workers, especially nurses? Well, healthcare workers such as doctors and especially nurses are commonly valued, of course, for their scientific expertise, and rightly so, but healthcare is so much more than just knowledge about the human body and medicine, isn't it? One of the bedrocks of any successful healthcare industry is relationships of trust between patients and caregivers. This means that healthcare workers often have to deal with very traumatic interactions with patients who are suffering, who are in pain or who are dying on a daily basis, as well as having to show empathy with their traumatized and emotionally burdened families. And this can obviously take a major emotional and psychological toll. It is not a job that I could do. I just wouldn't be able to do it. And I mean, I'm so in awe of the doctors and nurses who can do it. Compassion fatigue is a combination of physical and emotional depletion, which is associated with caring for patients who are under immense emotional pain and physical distress. By constantly feeling and expressing empathy with innumerable patients, as well as their families, healthcare professionals, nurses, and doctors start to experience compassion fatigue. They start to carry the burden of pain and suffering themselves. And understandably so, they're only human, and I think we forget that. This emotional and physical toll can exhaust even the most experienced and emotionally strong healthcare provider to the point where they become emotionally numb. And in a profession that I think is almost like a vocation rather than a career, wouldn't you agree? That must be absolutely terrifying to experience. Compassion fatigue, I mean, it can not only result from long term emotional stress, but it can even be the result of the emotional exhaustion caused by a single case. But, what doctors and nurses have experienced over the last 2 years or so, is it any wonder that compassion fatigue is starting to affect the profession at every level? I mean, I can't give a solution or advice on how to deal with it. It's not my area of expertise. Other than to say, be mindful of your emotional and psychological state and, regularly practice diligent self care. But of course, that's easy for me to say. It's a hell of a lot more difficult to put it into practice in real life. And I mean, words are great, but they're just words. So all of those doctors and nurses out there who are essentially on the front line and who are dealing with this on a daily basis, you have my utmost respect, and you've got a hell of a job, far more difficult than mine, far more difficult than mine.